afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Daniel Berlant in the CAL FIRE Information Center. This is a special fire situation report for today, Thursday, August 18th, 2016. We continue to monitor several large fires that are burning across California. In fact, there are 9 large fires right now burning in the state. This is some video of one of those fires. This is from the Blue Cut Fire, and you can see here's a DC-10 air tanker making a drop. I want to switch over to our statewide fire map. Here you can see those fires burning all across the state, from the north to the central coast, all the way down into Southern California. Let's start with one of the largest, one of the most active fires, I should say, that is currently burning. This is the Blue Cut Fire. It's burning down in the Cajon Pass, just north of San Bernardino. In fact, here is San Bernardino, Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga. Here is the 210 freeway. You can see this is Interstate 15 running right through the fire perimeter. As of this morning, this fire has burned 31,689 acres. It is 4% contained. You can see here this yellow perimeter right here. We'll go a little bit closer. This is the area that is under the evacuation warning, mandatory orders, I should say. So the community of Wrightwood is evacuated at this point. While the fire has not reached that part of the mountain right now, this fire has been burning just so rapidly. We'll show you some photos here in a moment. These communities still remain threatened. The fire has burned right up to Lido Creek. Obviously, Lido Creek at a high elevation where wind naturally blows through some of these canyons. But right now we're seeing very gusty winds. We'll show you some of those wind conditions in just a little bit. But again, here is Highway 15 running right through here to give you some perspective. Here is Highway 138. Again, this all occurring in San Bernardino County. Now, as I mentioned, nearly 32,000 acres have burned. The fire is 4% contained. There are still over 34,000 homes in this perimeter right here that are still under those mandatory evacuation areas. This includes the Cajon Pass, as I mentioned, Lido Creek, Wrightwood, as well as Oak Hills. These are all the areas where the fire has now burned right up to or continues to threaten. All morning long, we have continued to see fire activity. In fact, it burned throughout the night, and by morning, we continue to see very active fire on this fire. We know that there are numerous structures that have been destroyed, both homes and other commercial buildings. At this point, we still do not have a or an exact count, I should say, of how many that was. Now, Mark asked a great question. How did the fire start? The fire is still under investigation, but we know with the high winds that we are experiencing in that area, it did not take much for this fire to just grow very rapidly. I want to show you some video here that was shot overnight. You can just see the fire, just how intense it burned throughout the evening hours. Now, typically in a normal fire behavior, when the humidity goes up overnight, the fire activity and the fire behavior starts to decrease, but obviously not the case here in San Bernardino County as the fire continues to grow. So again, nearly 32,000 acres burned, 4% contained. I want to show you some photos that were sent in to us that just show what firefighters at the ground are facing right now. Here's a firefighter from CAL FIRE battling the fire. Look at those flame lengths. They're twice the size of them, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet in length, as they just burn this critically dry vegetation. These are all photos taken by Jeff Hall. You can see here's a bulldozer that's putting in containment line around the fire as crews are working here. But just again, look at the size of this fire and the scope of it compared to what the size of this large bulldozer here in the bottom part of this photo look like. Another CAL FIRE firefighter battling the fire. Now, CAL FIRE is working in unified command with the U.S. Forest Service as well as the San Bernardino County Fire Department. We are also in unified command with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department as they work towards getting people evacuated. Now, not everybody has heeded those warnings, even though that evacuation zone, as we showed right here, includes well over 80,000 people. Not everyone has heeded those warnings. And with how fast this fire is moving, it is critical that if you are in this evacuation area, that you heed those evacuation warnings and that you immediately evacuate from this fire. Now, good news as of this morning, both from the Highway Patrol as well as Caltrans, Interstate 15 is open now, both northbound and southbound. While it had been opened somewhat overnight for one direction, now both directions are open in the Cajon Pass. Now, be aware that some lanes may be blocked. There may be some times where on and off the freeway may have some impact, but at this point, Interstate 15 has reopened. I-15, of course, is the connector between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, so a very heavily trafficked area. I want to zoom out and talk just a little bit about some of the other fires that are burning across the state. One of those being up in Northern California. That's where we find the Clayton fire that's been burning in Lake County now since Saturday. It's still holding at the same acreage as yesterday, just under 4,000 acres. To give you some perspective, here is Clear Lake itself. Here is the community in the city of Clear Lake, Lower Lake, the area that was hit the hardest. This is all right off of Highway 29. The good news here, this fire is now 55% contained, and while there still are some evacuations, many of them have been lifted. In fact, the avenues over here in the southern portion of Clear Lake, those evacuations were lifted several days ago. Yesterday, portions of Lower Lake were lifted yesterday. Today, we are continuing to assess, especially this portion just to the east of Highway 53 and Highway 29, which the fire is burning just to the east side of it. We're continuing to assess those evacuations. So be aware there are still evacuations in place on this fire. Now, some new totals, some unfortunate totals. The destruction on this fire has grown now to 232 structures. That does include 175 homes. So a very destructive fire for sure. Fire crews, still over 2,000 in fact, on scene of this fire, putting out hot spots, making sure that we have good containment all the way around this fire before we start removing and releasing those resources to other parts of the state. The other fire that I do want to hit on is down in Southern California, down in San Luis Obispo. This is where the chimney fire has been burning also since this weekend. This is burning just south of Lake Nacimiento. This is that lake right here in San Luis Obispo County. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit further so you can have an idea. Here is Paso Robles. So this fire is burning just to the west by about 15 miles or so. So far, this fire has burned 8,300 acres. It is 30% contained. There are still evacuations in effect. Communities like Cal Shasta, Running Deer are all in those evacuation areas. So we still have 230 structures threatened by this fire. Now, we have had some destruction in this fast-moving fire as well. In fact, the chimney fire has destroyed 45 structures so far. So 45 structures destroyed in the chimney fire. A couple other fires we just want to catch you up on. A fire that's been burning for some time now down over in the Big Sur area. This is the Sobranes fire. It's burned relatively in the Big Sur area just off Highway 1. Now, as of this morning, it is 79,000 acres, still holding at 60% contained, and there are still some evacuations in place. While many have been lifted over the past week, there are still many that are in place. 410 structures still remain threatened. This fast-moving fire was destructive. 68 structures destroyed. Now, that was early on in the fire. We haven't had much destruction on this fire since then. So, zooming back out to show you, again, these 9 fires. We didn't cover all of them. You can find this map and get the latest numbers on all 9 of these fires on our website, fire.ca.gov. There's some good information on all those fires. There's nearly 10,000 firefighters battling these 9 fires right now. And as I mentioned, as the Blue Cut fire continues to burn actively, we are moving resources. The Sobranes fire in Monterey, at one point, it had over 4,000 firefighters on it. But as good progress has been made, we've been able to release those fire crews and send them down to the Blue Cut fire as well. So a lot of movement of fire resources for this time of year. I want to switch over to this map here. This shows us the red flag warning that was issued by the National Weather Service due to very gusty winds. This is specifically in the mountains as well as the desert foothills in several counties stretching from Ventura, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, going down into Riverside and San Diego counties. Now, this red flag warning has been extended through tomorrow night. So we're going to continue to see very gusty winds throughout this area. Just to give you some perspective, here is San Bernardino, here is the Cajon Pass right here, right in the middle of where this red flag warning remains in effect. So that will have a major impact on firefighters' abilities to really get a good handle on this fire with such strong winds. But even throughout this area, we really need the public to be extra cautious because the winds are definitely very strong. Here is our wind gust forecast. Look in Southern California. Look just how much wind we're going to see down in Southern California, 20, 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds in some areas. Again, in those higher elevations, that's where we're going to see a lot of the gusts. Everywhere here in green, though, is about 20 miles. The stuff in yellow, very hard to see and very small, but that's where we could see 30 to 40-mile-an-hour winds. So a very windy couple of days in Southern California still. So I want to show you a picture right here. This is just one of many animals that have been rescued so far on the fire. Obviously, life safety is our number one priority, protecting property, putting out the fire. But in some cases, there are animals that have been left behind as people were at work and weren't able to get them. This is a picture of one of our battalion chiefs, Mike Moeller, who stumbled upon this dog who was safe in his home, had some minor burns on his paws. The dog immediately jumped in the truck, obviously wanting some water. Battalion Chief Mike Moeller able to take care of that animal. Pets are obviously a big part of our family, so there's some important things to remember for your four-legged members of your family when you're developing your wildfire action plan. You know, make sure you're including food and other supplies in your emergency supply kit so that if you do have to evacuate, you have those supplies with you when you have your animals. Plan where you're going to take or leave your pets. If you're evacuated from your home, a hotel may not allow you to have those animals, so have a plan, maybe another a friend outside the area that can take them. And in case you aren't home, arrange for a neighbor to check in and transport them if you have time. All of this is, again, if you can prepare ahead of time. In cases like the Blue Cut fire where the fire is burning so quickly, sometimes there's just not enough time. If you want more information on what you can do, though, to ensure your animals are safe, you can visit our website at readyforwildfire.org. That's where you can ensure you have a plan in place for yourself so you can evacuate, but also for your animals. For the very latest on all these fires, you can always continue to follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, as well as our website, fire.ca.gov. I'm Daniel Berlant. Thanks for joining us for this special fire situation report. Have a fire-safe day.